I'm very disappointed in Mitch. But if he gets these bills passed, I'll be very happy with it, and I'll be the first to admit it. But honestly, repeal and replace of Obamacare should have taken place. And it should have been on my desk virtually the first week that I was there or the first day that I was there. I've been hearing about it for 7 years.
President Trump putting the pressure on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. The president not happy at all. He wants his growth agenda launched. It's now 8 months on. Voters are getting angry. They're getting restless. Republicans hanging on to the thin reed of a 52-vote majority in the Senate, now imperiled by the illness of John McCain. And take note of this fact. Republicans only won the popular vote in presidential elections just once in 29 years. That was in 2004. Voters are watching the Senate and the House, and they're getting angry. Joining me now, Fox News correspondent-at-large, Geraldo Rivera. Good to see you, Geraldo.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
You wanted to say something about North Korea first. Go ahead.
If I can. You know, I'm of the school, knowing President Trump for over 40 years, that don't listen so much to his words. Watch what he does. For instance, he said he was going to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in Israel. Very inflammatory move. Were he to do it, he did not do it. He said he was going to trash the treaty we have with Iran, the nuclear treaty with Iran, even though we had many other nations that were co-signatories on that treaty. He said he was going to do it. He did not do it. With North Korea, I believe that I've discerned the real Donald Trump red line where it comes to Korea. When he said today about overt threat, it wasn't just threat, it was an overt threat. I think what the president has done is lay out a Trump doctrine. If Kim Jong-un were to fire, as he is now threatening to do, those 4 missiles in the direction of Guam, he said, check the azimuth of the angle of his missiles, Kim threatened ominously to the world. He's going to shoot them toward Guam. I believe that if Kim, even if the missiles were unarmed, were to send 4 intercontinental ballistic missiles toward Guam, the U.S. territory in the Pacific, I believe that that would be the trigger for some... I can't tell you what the military response would be, but it would be a military response. In terms of Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, should bite his tongue. I mean, this is a man who has utterly failed to advance the Republican legislative agenda when the party was out of power, when the party was in power in Congress, and now for him to blame President Trump for his failure, Mitch McConnell's failure to pass health care, I think is really shameful.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, the Republicans got campaign donations for 8 years. But the thing is, he's attacking his quarterback in the Senate who got on the Gorsuch nomination, right?
But that's a good point, and I think a very valid indication that Mitch McConnell is a very valued politician. He kept that seat open almost single-handedly. He juked President Obama out of the ability to fill that Supreme Court vacancy, and he gave that opportunity to President Trump. That's McConnell, the politician. But McConnell, the lawmaker, what laws has he passed? We're now 7 months into the Trump administration, and very little, if anything, to show for it on the legislative side.
Here's what voters are dealing with. I mean, half of foreclosures are due to medical costs. That's what Harvard University says. Too many bankruptcies from medical costs. I mean, the middle class is really getting slammed. We had Karl Rove, however, yesterday defending Mitch McConnell. Let's take a listen, Geraldo. I'd like your reaction.
Sure.
This is a kerfluffle that should not be expanded. The president poured gasoline on it. If he was upset about what Mitch McConnell said, he should have maybe called McConnell and said, I really didn't appreciate that. But McConnell was giving him sound advice, and since then it has turned into a food fight that serves nobody's purpose except that of Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, and Nancy Pelosi, House Minority Leader. That's the only purpose that this serves.
Okay, Geraldo, here's the deal. I mean, to Carl's point, this really is a shotgun marriage between Republicans and Trump. Trump has never been an establishment Republican, right?
He has never been, but I see it a little differently than Carl does. I mean, Carl is the political guru, the genius. But the way I see it is because, precisely, Liz, to your point, that Trump has never really been a party stalwart. I thought he was going to run as a Democrat when he first indicated he was running for president to me in the late 1990s. Then he was going to be a Reform Party candidate. He only became a Republican in the last decade, if that. But the reason that makes that is relevant right now is that because he hasn't been a party guy, maybe now Trump can reach out, if not to Schumer, bypass the radical Democratic leadership, go to the core, the senator mansions and so forth, the center of the Democrats, and say, okay, let's find common cause. Maybe Trump can make a deal precisely because he's not a party stalwart, and get the United States, the American
to your
citizens
point,
the
I mean, the polls show that more than half of the voters out there say they don't even like the Democrats because they're not standing for anything but obstructing Trump. So if either party goes into the midterms, every seat is likely at risk, right, if nothing gets done.
I totally agree, but now lose the fringes on both sides, make a deal from the center. Most Americans are centrist. They're not.
That's a good point.
They're not far right or far left. We can get health care done. The president is right to be frustrated.
Good for you, Geraldo, with that way out. Good to see you. We love having you on the show. Come back soon.